Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you as always. Big day around here. Had the holistic fair here in Holland, Michigan, right in my own town, and had great success. Turned out wonderfully. Talked to lots of wonderful, wonderful people, and I can't wait for the next one. So it was absolutely a great, wonderful day here for myself and for meditative astrology, but it took a lot of energy. So if this one ends up being a little bit shorter than normal, that might be why. Also, I've said that before, and then it doesn't end up being any shorter. So I hope you have all had just as wonderful of a weekend as I have had. Happy birthday to our Libra sons. The sun has entered the sign of Libra today, so that also means the autumn equinox is here. So as we switch into Libra season, we have the balancing of daylight and night, and that falls right in line with Libra season, with the balancing of the scales, harmony, balance, diplomacy, justice, fair, wanting things, social fairness, social justice, all of those mentally leveling things of the air sign of Venus. So that is the first thing that we have going on this week. We also have a couple sign changes, and just ahead of the sign changes, we have a couple dynamic aspects that go along with our intention. So I'm going to put the intention up here for those of you who have not seen it before. New adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. So if you're new around here, or if you don't know, the intention is always released on Facebook and Instagram and the website ahead of our meditation. Since we started doing it on Sundays rather than Tuesdays, I've been releasing it Saturday morning. That seems to work out well. That gives you a little time to sit with the intention and just see what comes up about it. If anything comes up, great, wonderful. There's a lot that you can hopefully get from the meditation that we have here and the discussion that we have here, but there's a lot more that you can get too just from listening within and just seeing what comes up, seeing what reactions you have, what words, what thoughts, just what comes along with that. So the intention was released yesterday. Here it is if you haven't seen it before, and I just want to give you just a moment to sit with that. New adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. So how does that make you feel? Is it new adventures, does that excite you? Does it make you slightly nervous? Recent experiences coming to a conclusion, does that make you excited for what's next? Does that make you maybe want to stay within these experiences that you've had because they've been so wonderful? Does it make you ready to move on? Does it bring up something else for you? Sitting with that for just a moment. Taking a look in the comments. Hi, everybody. Kevin, Melissa, Tom, good to see you. Oh, yeah. Met you at the fair today. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you that are here in whatever capacity that you can be. So, new adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. So like I mentioned, the sun has moved into the sign of Libra. That is our first sign change. We also have two other planetary sign changes this week. So Venus is moving into the sign of Scorpio tomorrow, which is Monday, and Mercury will be moving into the sign of Libra by the end of the month. Or by the end of the week, by Friday. I do want to point out that both Venus and Mercury, when they change signs, they're going to be leaving their own home sign. They're going to be leaving their own domicile. So Mercury has rulership in Virgo, and Venus has rulership in Libra, where it has been. So both of these planets are leaving signs where they're very, very comfortable and they're able to work within their own way, the way that they like to, very, very well. Mercury is able to organize and structurize and compartmentalize things. It's able to be a little bit particular and detail-oriented in the sign of Virgo, and Venus in the sign of Libra is able to, or desires to bring that mental realm balance and harmony that Venus likes so much. So aesthetically pleasing things, nice fine lines, things appearing very, very pleasant and comfortable, social justice, social diplomacy, being able to level the scales and allow to see different sides. All of those air Venusian qualities. Right before the sign changes, both planets are going to go through dynamic aspects, and that's a bit of where our intention comes in this week. So last week, actually, our intention was I flow with dynamic extension and extraction. You could probably use that same intention, but this week, new adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. So the experiences that we've had with Mercury in Virgo and Venus in the sign of Libra have been solidifying in some way. There's been some sort of cohesion here with these planets, these personal planets in their own signs. They've been working very well on many different levels for many people. And now they're going to go through these aspects, and then they are going to switch signs almost immediately. So Venus squares Pluto today, Sunday, September 22nd, and then tomorrow, Monday, it moves into the sign of Scorpio. Venus squaring Pluto, it feels like a prelude of Venus entering Scorpio because there is some similarities there. Also, this is the last Venus-Pluto square that we will get with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. So all of those things that Pluto in the sign of Capricorn has been changing and shaking up and shifting in the last 20 years or so for you. This is our last little kick and our last little push to be able to bring forward some sort of Venusian flair to that. So closing square between Venus and Pluto. So it's wrapping things up. It's what are the loose ends that need to be tied up in order to bring some sort of cohesion between those two areas of your chart. The squares, remember, squares are scratchy aspects. They make us uncomfortable just enough so that way we want to move. So there can be some tension, but there's work that is prompted from that tension, and if we put in that work, then there is some sort of benefit to come from it. Venus squaring Pluto can bring up some very, very deep subjects. So Venus is squaring off with the Lord of the underworld. So there may be some deep, somewhat dark things that kind of come through. There could be some sort of intense passion, intense power, power of beauty, power of love, power of passion, underworld findings related to pleasure and enjoyment. Things could start to bubble up from the surface that maybe we thought we dealt with before, but they're coming back around to us again. Something related to what we enjoy and how we find balance and how we find harmony. It could be that information is coming up from the underworld. We could have some realizations come through. We could have some information construed to us. It could be that we feel the need to dig deeper somehow. But Venus squaring Pluto is digging deep, and we might as well get used to Venus digging deep because Venus moving into the sign of Scorpio is moving into the fixed water sign, the depths of the water. Scorpio likes to dig deep. It likes to stay within the shadows, and Scorpio wants to bring up those hidden, unconscious, subconscious, untalked about things. So it wants to bring the skeletons out of the closet and expose them. So that's what we have with Venus and Pluto here. So there's this dynamic interaction in the very last moments of Venus being in the sign of Libra. So, Venus in Libra wants to bring that balance and bring that harmony, and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn wants to bring some sort of transformation that takes some sort of work, some sort of effort. It's not afraid to get its hands dirty. So there is like some headstrongness in this energy that I'm feeling here going on this week. And then, so that's today, that's Sunday. You may have been feeling it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then Venus is going to move into the sign of Scorpio, where it's going to stay until October 17th. So we have the next month or so of Venus digging deep in the sign of Scorpio, touching any Scorpio placements that we may have, opposing any Taurus placements that we may have. So there's this big dynamic shift for Venus, okay? She's been in her own place. She's been able to be somewhat comfortable. She's come across the South Node, so there's been some sort of harmonious releasing or letting go or processing of karma, something along those lines. Now she gets hit with that square to Pluto where she's got to face off with the underworld before she enters the underworld. It can also feel like Venusian power rising up somehow. Okay, so Pluto or Venus, as she enters the underworld, as she enters the sign of Scorpio, goes into this deep dark layer. She has to have some level of courage. She has to have some level of strength. She learns a lot while she's there. So there's this ability to dig deep within in the next month or so, and preludes to that early on this week. So dynamic for Venus, and then the other one is Mercury. So Mercury is going to be moving from Virgo into the sign of Libra, the sign where the sun is now, and the sign where next week we'll be talking about the Mercury cazimi, where Mercury comes across the sun for that resetting point. But right before Mercury moves into the sign of Libra, Mercury has two interactions. So we're going to have a trine to Uranus from Mercury, and then we're going to have an opposition from Mercury to Neptune. Very open-mindedness, okay? Both of these transits are going to open and expand the mind, just in a little bit different ways. So there is an enthusiasm with Uranus Mercury trines. There is an expansion of enthusiasm and an expansion of the breakthrough. So where Mercury and Uranus, where Uranus has been working in your own chart, where the breakthroughs and the rebellion and the moving against the grain, like against what you would normally do, there is an expansion of that this week, and you're able to step into that in a new light and a new power. It can be really empowering. It can be fast moving of the mind, of the resources, new ideas, new methods. It can feel like it's moving very, very quickly. It could feel that we're pinned down and we're held down somehow to where we need to move, and we need to move quickly. It's both Uranus and Mercury, both are quick, sudden, and they don't hesitate to move, to change. So changes within the mind. You have the ability to change your mind this week. You always have the ability to change your mind, but you can definitely change your thoughts and your perception this week specifically. And then, so that's Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Mercury is going to oppose Neptune, where the mind opens up into this ethereal world between worlds. Intuition, insights, that connection to source. Remember, we say that Neptune fully envelops you in something, fully intoxicates you in something, but in order to do that, it needs to separate you from something else in some way. So how can Mercury opposing Neptune, when it's standing in that polarizing position with Neptune, with the planet that, excuse me, I've talked a lot today, excuse me, need a little drink. So with Mercury opposing Neptune, how can we find something to let go of within our mind or within our resources or the way we perceive things, the way we communicate, in order to connect to something higher? That could be connecting to a higher purpose, connecting to a higher mind, a higher consciousness, a higher energy level. It can be connecting to God. It can be a higher connection between you and another. It can be a mental connection between you and some sort of artistic, romantic expression. But how can you find a way to lose yourself in whatever the other world is for yourself? Across Pisces and Virgo, looking at the details versus the whole. So Neptune in the sign of Pisces is looking at the whole cosmic soup. Mercury in the sign of Virgo is looking at each and every little detail. So how can we marry that? How can we look at the individual details and turn that into the greater whole somehow? How can we take ourselves as a small part of the whole and integrate it into the whole entire wholeness of the whole, I guess. And then right after these two aspects, the very next day, Mercury is going to move into the sign of Libra. So we have these dynamic aspects. We have these changing experiences that are concluding, but they can be, it's going out with a bang. Both of these are changing signs, and there's a punch that is associated along with it. That does not connotate positive or negative. It just tells us that it is there. So those are the aspects that we have going on this week. New experiences, new energy are awaiting for us, but there are some powerful conclusions before we move along. Conclusions does not mean that the thing is going to fully disappear, but it means that we are going to be approaching it in a new way. So I'd like to encourage you to see where you can make some sort of dynamic impact this week. Where can you do something a little bit different than where you would how you would normally do it, but still within a reasonable aspect, okay? So Mercury and Uranus could spin so far with the ideas that we start to get a little bit reckless. Pluto and Venus together, they can be very possessive, they can be very intense, they can be very suspicious, they can be very, I was going to say hesitant, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. They can be very provoking. So there's definitely some dynamic energy here going on this week before the sign changes. And then just that sign change alone is going to throw these planets off a little bit because they've been so comfortable in their own domicile, in their own home sign. But there's new adventures that are awaiting for us. We're stepping into new energy. We just have these powerful kicks as we are on our way out. Mercury-Uranus trines. Mercury, the god of messages, Hermes, the god of that translates information from the underworld into the physical world, from the spirit world into the material world, and Uranus, Prometheus, the god that stole fire in the form of knowledge, technology, breakthroughs, downloads, all of that divine information coming to us lightning quick from the gods and brought it into man. So we have the connotations from both Uranus, from the mythology of Uranus and Mercury, both showing us the possibility of information coming to us from some sort of other source. So whether that's downloads, whether that's knowing, whether that's breakthroughs in meditation, whether that's breakthroughs in your own mental processes, there is a possibility for like higher power help here. It's going to come through very, very intensely if it does. It's not going to probably be subtle. So it might throw you off guard a little bit. But let's be excited about the new changes that we have going on this week and the dynamic energy that we have just ahead of it. So that is what I have as far as the transits for this week. It's a little bit... In some ways it feels like a lot, in other ways it doesn't feel like a lot. We are in the middle of eclipse season, so we are between those eclipses. October 2nd is the solar eclipse. September 17th was the lunar eclipse last week. So we are in that in-between energy where powerful things happen between the eclipses, okay? Powerful beginnings, endings, and this feels like it's facilitating that in the middle. Like the universe is telling us, okay, things are shifting, things are changing, and this is the direction that they're going. So, card that I pulled to go along with it is the Ten of Pentacles. So some sort of completion, some sort of high level within the physical world. So whatever it is that you have manifested, whether it's the abundance of resources, physical things, there's a completion there. It's the 10. It's as high as it gets. So this symbolizes, to me, the height that we have of these planets within their own signs. So they've made their journey as far as they can go within their own comfortable position. Now it's time for them to step outside of the comforts of their own home and travel on and move a little bit forward. So that's the same thing with us. It's time to step out of the comfort of our own home with Venus and Mercury kind of doing some nice things for a little while and step into what maybe is a little bit uncomfortable for these planets, but that's just because it just goes against the grain of what they're used to doing. Venus in the sign of Scorpio, although it is not in a great place, it has the ability to bring some sort of cohesion to what is unspoken. And those things that are unspoken, like sometimes those things have to be said. And sometimes Venus in the sign of Scorpio is one of the only ways that we're going to have the guts to dig deep down in order to discover those type of things. So 10 of Pentacles this week, there's completions. And within a completion makes room for a new beginning. I think that's right on par. So that's what we have for this week as far as the astrology goes. I'll leave the intention up here for just one more moment before we move along. New adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. So, as these energies start to conclude, where can you make one last lasting impact? This is the last square we have between Venus and Pluto, with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. So the rest are going to all be in the sign of Aquarius, okay? So no more squares from water to the sign of Earth. It will be from fire to air. So what can you bring forward? Where can you step? Where can you make one more last dynamic push this week before the planets move along to the new signs? Okay, bring our intention down here, and then you can see our beautiful intentional candle. It's white as always. Purity, clarity, amplification. You can change this color into any color that you want it to be. That's the beauty of having the blank slate of the white. White sage oil candles as always, because it adds that extra amplification, purification, and the level of communication between you and whatever higher realm it is that you're looking to get into. So the Stone Sanctuary shop is where I get my candles from. It's been a little while since I've made that shout out, but I just love her candles so much. Stone Sanctuary shop on Etsy, and I love her candles. They're amazing. Couple things that I have here. My kyanite that's been helping me all day and needs a well-deserved rest, and my amethyst here. So just opening us up to the higher realms through intuition, through insights, through knowledge, and through communication. So that's what I have here with me today. I'm just looking at the comments here. Hi, Nikita. Hi, Mary. It's good to see you both here. Hope you're having a great weekend. So we're going to move along, and we're going to light our intentional candle as we begin the meditation. As I light the intentional candle, I'm going to recite the intention out loud. Feel free to say the intention with me, whether it's out loud, in your head, writing it down on a piece of paper. I suggest putting it on a sticky note that you can keep with you through the week. That's what I do. This goes in my planner after the meditation, and you can just kind of refer back to it and just think about the meditation and what has come up for you. So I'm going to light the intentional candle here. So first spark, flame ignites. Oh, well, that's never happened. Never say never. There we go. Okay. So we light our intentional candle. As we light the intentional candle, the flame ignites and the flame begins to grow. As the flame grows, so does our intention. New adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. So, as always, let's start by just taking a moment to check in with our body and just check in with the breath, the level and the quality of the breath that you came here with today. The only thing that we're doing right now is just acknowledging where we are in this very moment. So, coming into a place of stillness, closing your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. If not, try to just soften your gaze somewhat slightly. And just notice your breath. Notice the quality of the inhales. Notice how the exhale feels. Take a moment to recognize if your breath feels slow and steady, or if it feels rushed or hurried at all. Is there a calmness and a tranquility that comes with your breath? Or is there a little bit of unsteadiness, maybe even a little bit of anxiety? Does it feel like your breath is full and complete? Or does it feel like it takes a little bit of work? Everything that has led you to today has led to the quality of breath that you are holding right now. This is why we don't judge the breath. We just acknowledge and make space for it. All of your experiences that have led you to right here are completely valid. Once we've taken a moment to check in with our breath, we're going to slowly start to deepen the inhale and the exhale. So on your next inhale, I'd like you to have the goal to be that inhale is just slightly longer, slightly slower, and bringing in slightly more air into your body than the one before it. Once you've taken in all the air that you possibly can, perhaps you hold and retain that breath within your body for just a moment, feeling that fullness, feeling that oxygen within you. And then you begin the exhale. As we lengthen the exhale, our goal is for the exhale to just be slightly longer, slightly slower, and release slightly more air than the exhale before it. Continuing that process of breathing in, breathing out, improving the quality of the breath with each inhale, being slightly more efficient, slightly more calming than the one before it. And each exhale releases slightly more air and slightly more breath than the one before it. Continuing the process of breathing in and out, you start to notice the changes that happen within your body as you do so. As you breathe in, you feel the oxygen enter your being slowly as it moves down your throat. You feel that cool air moving down towards your lungs. As your lungs start to inhale and expand, to hold all of this wonderful air that has come from the universe and the ethers around you. Your diaphragm starts to move lower, making space. Navel moves away from the spine, abdomen distends. And in this moment, you feel whole, you feel satisfied, and you feel held. You are held by the universe and the energy that you have brought in from the universe and the ethers around you. Each inhale brings energy into our being. And then as you get ready to exhale, ever so slowly, you start to feel your lungs start to deflate. As they do so, your navel moves back towards your spine, towards a neutral position. Diaphragm raises back into a neutral position. Air comes up from your lungs into your throat, out through your mouth or your nose, and you release some of your own energy, some of your own vitality from within your own being into the universe around you. Next inhale brings energy back into you. Exhale releases energy from you. Continue that process of breathing in and out slowly and steadily. Coming into a place of stillness, a place of relaxation, and a place of connectedness. This week we have the ability to expand our mind, expand our resources, expand our experiences. We have the ability to reach within the depths and find beauty there, find harmony, find healing within those depths of this water of Scorpio. Meanwhile, Mercury, who has been working on those details so persistently in the sign of Virgo, moves into the sign of Libra, the sign of balance, the sign of Venus. The cohesion that we find within our mind, the balancing of our thoughts and our emotions, the way we wish to proceed diplomatically is influenced by this depth exposed by Venus, the digging deep down within the shadows of both the conscious and subconscious mind. Where can you find a release based on what Venus in the sign of Scorpio will find? It's a question for hindsight at the end of the week. So as Mercury comes into contact, expanding its interaction with Uranus, the planet of rebellion, the planet of breakthroughs, the planet of quick-moving change, what dynamic changes can happen within your mind, within your thoughts and your perceptions? What messages can the gods bring to you specifically? Anything popping into your head now, save that, tuck it away to revisit later on. Save those little nuggets that come to you. And then Mercury opposes Neptune, expanding us into the consciousness like we've only dreamed of. Sure, there's a possibility of an illusion or a disillusion, things not being communicated clearly or not being quite as they seem, but there's also insight, there's enlightenment, there's connection to a higher level of energy. Just before that sign change of Mercury into the sign of Libra, preparing for its reset with the sun, preparing to move across the south node, preparing to release what has been stored within the depths. Just know that's coming. As you continue to breathe in and out, I want you to think of something that you've always wanted to do, but you've never done it. Something that you don't quite feel like you've ever had the bravery to do, not quite having the guts to do. I just can't quite get myself to do that thing. It can be a big thing, it could be a little thing. It could be getting up in front of the class, it could be skydiving out of an airplane. And I want you to picture yourself doing that thing. Picture you moving forward with all the bravery, all of the security, all of the courage, and see yourself doing it in the most fun, loving, exciting way possible. feel the excitement, feel the courage, feel how proud you are for that breakthrough. Taking in the details around you, seeing what you notice. Fully inviting yourself into that scenario and seeing it playing out in the best possible way you could ever imagine. Feel the emotion, feel the excitement. As this experience playing out within your head makes you feel alive, excited, ready to move forward. Visualize yourself walking away from whatever that thing is that you're doing. And as you walk on down a path nearby, you have the biggest smile on your face. Head is up, shoulders back. Walking proud, brave, strong, and confident into whatever is in front of you. Whatever shadows, whatever changes, whatever uncertainty, you know that since you just did the thing back there, you can handle whatever is up there. There is a completion of energy, but any door that we step through puts us into a new room, into a new perspective, with new tools, new resources, new possibilities. This week, both our mind, our thoughts, and our perception, as well as where we try to find balance and harmony, what we love, what we desire, they're experiencing a shift. They're experiencing a shift in motivation, a shift in information, a shift in ability to adapt. Putting us outside of our comfort zone, just like both of these planets moving into the next sign, encourages us to grow, encourages us to reach up higher. When a planet is in its lowest position, there is nowhere to go but up. And as you continue walking down this path, you look up towards the sky and you see the sun overhead. And you see an eagle flying across the sky. And you see the confidence and the courage of the direction that that bird takes, inspiring you to move as freely, but yet poised and exact as that eagle that you see. Don't be afraid to take some risks. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone this week. Don't be afraid within reason. to do the thing that you have been hesitant to do. There is power, there is breakthrough, there is a level of rebelling against whatever holds us back. Before we close our meditation, I'm going to bring my hands together. Feel free to join me if you feel called to do so. Connecting both my left side of my body and my right side of my body, masculine and feminine sides, giving and receiving, introvert and extrovert. Creating the circuit for energy to move from one side to the other through my hands. Take one more nice deep breath in together. New adventures await as experiences conclude. New adventures await as experiences conclude. Exhale. The experiences for Mercury and Virgo, Venus in the sign of Libra, in their own domicile, is coming to an end. So they move forward, they march on, and so do we. Mercury in Libra, Venus in Scorpio by the end of the week. Sun in the sign of Libra. Again, happy birthday to you Libra suns. Remember that there's always a discount during the month of your sun sign. So check that out on the website if you are interested. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Next week will be a little closer to the typical hour. It's just been a little bit of a long day here today. So yes, some changing energy, some polarizing, dynamic, give and take energy that could kind of catch us off guard as this week goes on. It's kind of staggered. So like I said, that square between Venus and Pluto is exact Sunday. By Monday, Venus has moved into Scorpio. Tuesday, Wednesday, we get the aspects with Mercury, and then by Thursday, Friday, Mercury has moved into Libra. Next week, we'll be talking about Mercury Cazimi. So there's this resetting point coming up for Mercury, so there's a little bit of work left for Mercury to do before that. But I just want to encourage you to step out of your comfort zone somehow this week. Always with discernment, always have that kicker. But see what you can do to get yourself ready for these new adventures. The experiences that we've had are coming together, but we still have a little bit of room left to finish those experiences out with a bang. So, yes, thank you, all of you, for being here. I appreciate all of you, and you're welcome, and good evening. Yes, good evening, good evening. I appreciate all of you for being here in whatever capacity that you can. Check back next Saturday for a new intention, and then we will meet here live again next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, as always. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope that you find some way to step out against the grain, some way to connect to that higher self, higher intuition as Mercury comes into that opposition with Neptune. And let's get ready for Venus in the sign Scorpio, huh? And Mercury in Libra. All right. Thank you, all of you. I will see you next week. And yeah, reach out at any time. So have a great week. And happy equinox. Yeah. Happy fall. Bye now.